Hey everyone, welcome. In this video we're going to talk about links because the name of the game in HTML is hyperlinks. We want to be able to get from one location to another, whether that's going to somewhere outside of our website, inside of our website, to a specific location on a page, or trying to get to a resource of some sort. We do that by using links. And the web is all about linking things together. So let me just take you on a quick tour of what it takes to create a link. I'm going to create a quick sample document, and I'll make sure it's an HTML file. And I just need the bare bones to make this work, so I'll put in just the barest minimum of HTML required in order to make a page. And now let's take a look at a document preview. Well, in order to make a link, we need something that we can click on, some sort of a phrase or a statement or a word. So I'm just going to create a quick paragraph that says, "Welcome to Madison College." What if I wanted to have part or all of this a link that actually takes us to the Madison College website? Let's say I just want the words Madison College to be my link. So I'm going to actually use an anchor element to wrap around that content. So as you can see, I have an opening anchor tag and a closing anchor tag. And the content that sits in the middle is going to actually be our hyperlink, but we need to actually say where we want to link to. Well, we use what's called an href attribute, which stands for hypertext reference. And since attributes are always placed inside of the opening of a tag, I'm going to place my cursor right here and put in my attribute. And the location that I want to take us to is going to be the Madison College website, so I'll put in the Madison College website's URL. Now as soon as I did that, notice how the Madison College is a link? If I open this up into a browser page and click on that link, it should take us directly to the Madison College website. Let's give it a try. I'll use the Go Live button in the bottom right-hand corner. And that's going to open up my browser page. So here you can see the Madison College website link. If I click on this, the expectation is I'll be redirected to the Madison College website. So I select that link, and there I go. So creating a link doesn't take a whole lot to get us moving. Now there's a lot of different links out there. You can link internally to your own website. You can link externally to another website. You can link to a location in a certain page. You can have links open up documents or start an email. Links can do a lot of things, but we'll start with using external links because that's an example of what we just did. So to get us going, I'm going to open up the Week 5 demo that's out in Blackboard for links. You can download and follow along. And since I don't need this sample document anymore, I'm going to get rid of it so it's not in our way. And I'll open up the index.html file from the Week 5 demo. Let's take a few moments to look at our directory structure and also to see what kind of documents we're going to be working with. I'm going to open up the preview pane, and I want to talk just for a moment about what we have inside of our Week 5 demo links folder. So currently there are 1, 2, 3 different directories, and a directory is just another word for a folder. And then we also have 2 HTML files that are visible at this location. If I were to open up the Breeds directory or Breeds folder, I can see 3 additional HTML files inside of that directory. But since I'm sitting at the index.html file currently, I don't have access or visibility into that Breeds folder or that Breeds directory. Not yet. And each one of our HTML files currently doesn't have a way to get from one page to the next. There's no navigation or links that are set up. Well, in some cases, we want links to go to web pages that are not part of our website, and those links are called external links because they're pointing to another server or an external location from our current server or our current page. So underneath our H1 on how to pick a dog breed, I'm going to start building out a navigation. I'll use the navigation element, and inside of that navigation, I'm going to create an unordered list with a list item. That's going to be the first part of our navigation. Now the words pet finder are what we want to have as our clickable location or clickable content, our clickable link. But in order to make it a link, remember we need an anchor element to surround the content to actually tell the browser where to go once we click on the content. So I'll surround Pet Finder with an anchor element. And then I'm going to backfill my opening anchor tag with my href attribute, and that's where I'll put in the URL that we'll use as the address to go to where we want to go. So by default, in our previewer, we can't click on a link and have it take us directly to that website. It's external to our previewer pane, so I'm going to need to use the live server in order to handle that. So now that I have my live server open, if I select Pet Finder, it's going to take me to the Pet Finder website. That's the expected behavior. I can use the back browser to go back to my page. Whenever it comes to using our links, every time that we insert any kind of a link, we should always test our link no matter what. We should never take for granted or assume that our link is going to work. We should be testing them every single time. Now with our external links, we have to use what's called the full URL or the absolute path. We wouldn't be able to just type in the href is petfinder.com. We need to be very specific in our link. Let's do another one. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of our page, and I'm going to set the word VetBabble in our footer as a link that's going to direct us to an outside location. Once again, an external path, meaning I need the full URL or the absolute path to get to that location. So first I'll start by surrounding VetBabble with an anchor, and I'll backfill my opening anchor tag with the actual href attribute and the full URL. I'm going to save my changes, and then I'll test my link by going to the live server, and I'll click on my link to make sure it works. And just like that, I'm redirected to that website. I'll go ahead and select that back browser to get back to our page. And that's a quick overview of how to create an external link or a link pointing to an outside source. While we could have these in our website, or a lot of them, we're more likely going to be using internal links, and these are links that are going to be to locations within our pages or our own site. To do this, it's very important that we understand what our directory structure is at all times. Take a look at this structure image. At the top you can see is our main folder or our week 5 demo links. Immediately underneath that, we have access to 5 items. 2 of them are HTML files, and the other 3 are folders or additional directories. And inside of our breeds directory, we can see there's 3 additional HTML files. This is our current structure. In order for us to get from one location to another, it's important to know where we're trying to go because we need to base it on where we currently are. When we need to locate a resource within our website, we use relative paths. Now a relative path is going to locate the resource based on where we are, and while it's possible to navigate a directory path based on a root folder or a source folder, in this course we will only use relative paths to reinforce navigating the directory tree and to ensure that all of our projects and our exercises and work that gets submitted is going to function properly no matter where or how they're uploaded or downloaded later. So let's scroll back up to our navigation and let's create another list item in our list for a new link that's going to take us to our puppycare.html file. I'll create a new list item with a new anchor element, and the location is going to be taking me directly to the puppycare file. Now since I'm currently already on the index.html file and I'm inside of the root folder or the main folder of the week 5 demos links, I can already see that there is a puppycare.html file. I have visibility into seeing that particular file. So when I create my link, I don't need to specify a new directory or a new path. I just need to say I want to go to the puppycare.html file. So my href is going to be puppycare.html. And we always want to make sure that when we're creating our URLs, and anytime that we use a link, we want to make sure that we're focused on our case sensitivity. In this case, there's a capital C in our puppycare.html file, and we want to make sure that we're typing it in exactly as it's written so that we don't have any issues down the road. Now, as of right now, because I don't have any content between my opening anchor and my closing anchor tag, there's no physical text or value for us to click on in order to get to where we want to go. So I'm going to type in puppycare. Now because we're not leaving our website, we can use these links and test these links directly in our live preview. So I'll select puppycare link to test out what we did. And just like that, I've been taken to the puppycare page. Only we have a problem because now that we're here, we don't have a link to take us back to the index.html file. So let's take care of that real quick. I'm going to open up the puppycare.html file, and just like our index file, I want to try to remain as consistent as I can with navigation, and I'll create a new navigation underneath my H1 with a new unordered list and list items to redirect us back to our index page. Starting with the nav, I'll create the unordered list and list item, and the anchor, which takes us back to the index.html page, and this time I'll use the text "Go Home," as in go back to our home page. Now if I select Go Home, it takes me back to my index page, so I can navigate back and forth between those two pages. I've successfully set up a link. And remember, if your file or your source location currently is in the same directory as where you're trying to go, that means you can already technically see it, so you can just refer to it by its name directly. There's no need to leave your directory or to go up or down the directory tree. And that's an example of an internal link in our same directory. But what if we wanted to have an internal link to a different directory? Remember before when we opened up that breeds directory and we saw that there are 3 additional HTML files? That's in a different directory than our current location. Let's say I'm on my index page, so I'll go home, and from here, from this page, this location, I want to be able to go to my Airedale Terrier page, but I can't see it technically, it's in a different directory. Let's take a look at those folder structures one more time. We're currently at the index page, and we only have visibility to our puppy care and the 3 folders of breeds, images, and style sheets. But we want to go from our index file into the breeds directory so that we can see the Airedale Terrier file. So let's head back to VS Code. And just like before, in our index file, we'll create a new list item with a new anchor element. Now this time, we only have access to the breeds directory, so we can't necessarily see inside of it yet. Well, the way that we do that is we start by calling the breeds directory directly. We say breeds, and then as soon as we add a / to this, that's the equivalent of saying, I want to see what's inside this directory. So I'll put the /, and that's giving us access now to 3 additional HTML files. From here, we can now select that Airedale Terrier file, and then in our anchor element, we add the actual clickable content, Airedale Terrier. Let's do the same thing also for our Golden Retriever page and our St. Bernard page. And another really great way to look at it is if you notice our folder structure currently and what we have visibility, we're sitting at the index.html file. And without knowing what's in the breeds directory until we open it, this is all we see. So think of it like this. If I put in breeds and I type in my /, that's basically saying that I want to open up this directory and take a peek inside. So using the / is equivalent to saying, open up, I want to see what's in there. So now we can finish out with our St. Bernard. And just like that, we're now able to go from our index page to each of the other pages that are in our website. The Puppy Care, Airedale Terrier, Golden Retriever, and St. Bernard. But you may have guessed once we go to a page, let's say the Airedale Terrier, we have no way of getting from the Airedale Terrier page back up to our home page. We haven't created a link for it yet. And that's where we're going to have to learn how to navigate up a directory. And in this case, when I say going up, going back and going up, they mean the same thing. We're technically navigating in the directory out of our current folder or our current directory to one above us or one at a level higher up than we are, or backwards. And I know that sounds confusing, so let's go back and take a look at those images one more time. So the original file, if we were at the Airedale Terrier, we would only be able to see what's inside of our current directory, which is the Golden Retriever file and the St. Bernard file. But we need to leave the breeds directory entirely in order to get up to our main folder and have access to everything else that's in that structure. So essentially, we need to follow this path out of the breeds directory to get to our home page. Let's go back to VS Code and open up our Airedale Terrier file in the HTML. Now before I mentioned consistency when creating a navigation, but because an anchor element doesn't have to have anything around it, it can stand alone, we don't need to put that in there if we don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and create an anchor element without using a navigation or without using a list. I'll just create an anchor directly underneath my H1. And again, I want to go back to our home page or to go home, so I'll type in go home, but you could also type in home page or another value. But this time in the href, I need to use different syntax in order to indicate that I want to leave my current directory. Because remember, at the Airedale Terrier page right now, all I can see is my Golden Retriever and my St. Bernard. I'm currently sitting in my breeds directory, but what I really need to do is be sitting in my week 5 demo links directory. So we do that by using 2 dots and a /, and I like to think of it as if I'm trying to get up one level, I'm going to try to climb out or to move forward, and I always think that I'm going to take 2 steps and a jump. I'm going to step, step, jump right out of my directory. So if I say step, step, jump, that's ... That will help me to leave my current directory, which means if I were to use my folder structure as a visual aid, it would be just like saying I no longer want to be sitting in this breeds directory. I actually want to be sitting in this week 5 directory. So it closes our visual ability to see what's in the breeds directory, and now what we have access to is the breeds folder, the images folder, the style sheets folder, and those 2 HTML pages. Well, because I can now see the index.html page, I'm just going to call it by writing out index.html. So I'll type index.html. And with that, I can now test my link to go home. Ta-da! We can now navigate down the directory and up the directory. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for our Golden Retriever and our St. Bernard pages. There are lots of other links that we're going to cover, but for this video, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. And if you have any questions on any of this content, please don't hesitate to ask.